So guys, thought I'd give you a little intro before I show you all the footage I've gathered over the past 6 sessions on Coole Fisheries. Now Coole Fisheries is an absolute banging venue with over 15 30s and God knows how many 20s. I've never fished a water really with this many 30s in, so it was amazing to get the opportunity to fish Coole and pull out some really special ones. So this was my first one of the session, about a 14-pound fully, and I was absolutely blown away with this one. First fish off the menu, and it was amazing. Caught underneath a willow on a bright yellow hand roll special. Absolute awesome fish. Quickly after the first, I bagged an 18-pound mirror. Now this mirror was absolutely amazing. Like, just look at the scale patterns on this. Just every scale in absolute perfect condition. The mouth was in perfect condition. It had big shoulders, and the release of this fish was amazing. Its dorsal, everything. Look at the swim on it. The pecs were out the lot. I then went on to bag this 22-pound common. Absolute banger of a fish. Then before I knew it, I had a 16-pound mirror. Then something amazing happened, and I finally broke my PB on a catfish. This catfish filled my net, something I'd never done by it as an angler before. The head on it was absolutely enormous, the shape of it, just everything was amazing about this fish, and I couldn't wait to get it. Nothing else happened in the night, but I did bag this really nice 20-pound common, something that I was absolutely amazed with. This session could not get any better, or could it? My angling journey so far has been something absolutely incredible. On my locals, catching decent carp, but this fish that I caught, this fish tipped the scales at 31 pounds, a new PB. After I'd just have a 30, I then went on to catch a 17-pound mirror. A nice mirror, nice scale pattern, one for the album certainly. And that was the end of session 1. Another fish landed 10 minutes before packing up. A session of a lifetime. So guys, as you have just seen, that was session 1. Now session 1 was absolutely incredible. Session 1 consisted of me fishing bright yellow pop-ups over a bed of mainline essential IB. Only about 2 handfuls over each spot, fishing margins. Most of my bites come under a willow tree, but the catfish and the 31 come off another spot. Now, the way I found these spots was, obviously the willow, it's overhanging, so that was just my initiation of looking at the spot and thinking, yeah, that's a good spot. But I didn't just chuck my lead under it or just think, oh, I'll just pub chuck it in there. What I wanted to do was make sure I was fishing effective. So to make sure I was fishing effective, I would grab a lead, just any lead. It doesn't really matter because I was only flicking out short distance, and I wanted to see what the substrate was like on the bottom. So what I did was I had a few casts with my marker rod, felt it back on this spot, and it was very silty, but then it went down on a shelf as I can remember, and it was like very silty. And then it went into clay. Then we had like tiny bits of branches from underneath the willow, and that was a really good spot. It produced, I think, 13 bites out of 16. It was amazing. But under that tree I was fishing a slip D, 7 inches in length, on a bait screw with £25 coated braid from Carp's Essentials and a Carp's Essentials wide gape hook. And on my other spot I fished a blowback rig with a piece of Carp's Essentials blowback tubing on the hook. The reason I use a blowback tubing is because in my hindsight it gives me an idea. So when I reel in, it gives me an idea of what's happened on whilst my rig's been under the water. So most of the questions are out of the way because I look at the hook, and if the tubing's gone up on the hook, it means I've been done over by a carp. So then I need to think about how that's happened, find a way around it, and just make sure that when I next put that rig out, it's sharp, its properties are right, it's just the best rig I could possibly put out. So, going on to session 2. Now, session 2 was on peg 4 again. I landed some alright carp, but nothing massive, so we'll go straight to session 3. Now, session 3 was a session on there where it was very hard. 36 hours, no bites, and it was about 7 o'clock at night, maybe even a bit later. I think it was about 8 or 9, and I thought, right, I'm gonna move to the double. So I moved to the double swim. This was about 8 o'clock. Got set up, rods out, perfect. And then I saw a little show and a few fizzes. So I quickly wound my rod in, reeled it in, and then whacked it out to a spot where it was very, very just, I felt it first, it was a slow drop, soft drop. And I was like, no. Did it again. Crack. Right on a gravel bed. I thought, right, they must be feeding there because most of the lake is clay. So I was on that spot. Got a couple of handfuls of particle, hemp, corn, some boilie, and pellet, and the spot was only about 30 to 40 yards away, so I catapulted particle, I catapulted boilie, pellet, just a little handful or two. Then within 10 minutes I was away with a nice £16 common. So the first bite, that £16 common. Now the second bite was this dark £19 common. Absolute banger of a fish, one I certainly like to catch. My second one was a £21 common, nice gold, just pristine fish. Here's a rig that did the business, a slip-D tied with Carp's Essentials braid on a handroll special mulberry yellow pop-up. It then produced another bite, about £8, not the average, but we take them. I then had this nice dark scaly, and that was session 3 done. So guys, you joined me on the bank today. Just thought I'd give you a little insight. So session 4 is absolutely amazing, like the best session I've had in my life. So thanks for tuning in at this halfway point. There's a lot more footage in session 4 than session 1, 2 and 3. The only reason for that is because I didn't know I was going to be making a YouTube channel, and all my ones from session 1, 2 and 3 are all just like clips that I've got from photos and other stuff. But most of my talking will be done off the bank. So, but in the future I am looking to do a lot more on the bank. So thanks for tuning in so far and enjoy this one. It's a mega one. So this is Fox Lake, the lake that I've been fishing. So the one that looks like it's the smaller lake, they're actually combined through bridges. And I was fishing the bowl area, the place without the island, and I was fishing on the left side of it on peg 7, fishing up to the far margin. Now, this fish really well. It's the first time I fished peg 7 and it resulted in some real good fish. So quickly got off the mark with these two. One was about £12, the other £16. So it wasn't a bad session so far. Good start, and they were definitely on the feed and it looked to be a good session. I then landed this beast of a mirror, absolute incredible fish. This one topped the scales at 24. I then had this absolute, must be one of the nicest mirrors I've ever had at £23. After those cracking mirrors, I then had two nice little follies. This was turned into a session again to remember. Now it was really fishing well. Two more fish in the space of 48 hours. We've already done really well. The rig was fishing well, the bait was working, the hook, just everything was going perfect at this point. And the runs did just not stop. They just did not stop. Double takes, even I'm bringing a rod in, bringing them both in, so I've just had a fish on them, whacking them back out, they're screaming off. The carp were on this spot, and it's certainly, from the footage that I'm about to show you, they were definitely on the munch. So guys, just got one in the net, a nice sort of folly, not as big as my others, but obviously you got to take them. This one was about, I'd say he's about 13-14 pound. Smaller session, but like I say, you gotta take them. But he's got beautiful scales, pristine, yeah. And got a little video for you. So rod was out literally half an hour, and we've got a beautiful follow in there. Perfect. One rod out the water, two rods out the water. Can only mean one thing. Double run. Both at least 20 then. Got one on the Fox Lake. Absolute carnage this morning. One double take. Put the rod back out just. Screamed off. And we've got another. It's taking me out really far. So I'm just gonna put the rod tip low in the water, just the rod tip, just drag back. So another fish in the net, and then I had this absolute screamer. So guys, the absolute screaming run resulted in an absolute banger. 25-minute fight, absolute peeling line, rod bent right over, and then when its tail slapped on the top of that water, I knew this was big. Looking in the net, this fish was definitely above £25 and maybe even a new PB. Got his fin up. 31.8. Wow, I still can't believe it to this day. an absolute banger. I mean a banger. Massive chunk, old original. This fish just had everything about it, and I loved the way it looked. It fought like an old warrior. Definitely a PB to remember. And yes, I did get absolutely drenched by 35 litres of water. So 6 sessions on Coole Acres, 2 30s, 18 20s and 16 high doubles. Absolute banging fishery. The new owners are taking it on leaps and bounds, and I have to admit there's going to be many 30s in this lake in a couple of years. So hats off, 31.8 PB, get in. Got his fin up. 31.8. So guys, that's the end of the session. It was absolutely amazing, and this is only part 1 of Coole Acres Fisheries. There will be many more parts, and my target is the big ghosty from now. The big ghosty goes from about 35 to 38 pound and may even be a 40 pound ghost carp. That is my target for Coole Acres. I just want to say a massive thank you for staying this long. If you could like, share and subscribe, it'll be much appreciated. And every comment will be answered that you guys put in the comments. And all the love and support that you show is very much appreciated. So, like I say, there'll be many videos in the future. It is my first video I've ever done on YouTube, so I will try and make them the best I can. But I think for a first video, I did really well. And it took days of editing, days of figuring out, days of looking at YouTube videos, how to make my video better, how to do this, how to do that. But I'm very happy with the way it's turned out. So thank you very much.